Hi. Hi, sorry we are a little bit late. I managed to break a light, which meant this was all dark. So if you have a look, there is an older live stream going on that I will have to delete because it was shockingly appalling. So hi, it's Candy. I know there's not now. Oh, yeah, look. Maybe I need to turn on for dodgy messages. So let's just crack on. Hello everybody, how are we doing? Make sure you check in. I know that this is a little unusual for me to be live to you, but I thought I'd kick off the burlesque stream, if you like, of me going live, because so many people ask me questions. So many people talk to me about burlesque and what it is that I do. I'm just going to turn the light so it's a bit better on me. And also people are constantly asking questions, and this is a time to log in and let me know what's going on. So it's good fun to see you all. Oh, it's quite nice to see how many viewers we've got watching. That's always good. I'm just going to quickly tell everybody that I'm live. I've got loads of books on. I've got some questions as well, which is quite nice. So the whole point of me going live was that I get loads of people asking me about burlesque through my website and through my website, through emails, through social media, and I felt that while it was nice to come to one of the classes, not everyone could come to a class, and not everyone has like time to write back to people. So this was like a drop-in centre. I think I'm going to do it once a month, drop in. I've had it requested, about for the last year and a half, people have asked me to do a live questioning, and although Facebook is a great one to do, I felt that this was a lot more open, and this meant the source was always available and you could keep coming back here and review it, but you could also share it across, which made it really good for me. So yeah, so I've got a couple of questions from people who wanted to know about the burlesque. I'm going to go through them in a little while, just because I want to make sure that I don't miss any questions off, and I do have quite a few, which did make me laugh quite a bit, because when I announced that I was going to do this, I didn't think I'd get quite the response of people wanting to come in. So yeah, it's been an interesting sort of thing, because I know that there are groups on Facebook and other places that do this, so it's quite nice. Yeah, I'm here. So when we're talking about burlesque, people often ask me how I got into it, and it's I think I've spoken about it quite often. So I got into burlesque, I've got it all pinned underneath because it's really early, and I've only just sort of managed to get out of my pit after shows and stuff and networking and stuff. So I got into burlesque. I was in the military, I was in the RAF, and I was going to stand-up comedy classes for some confidence and a hobby outside. And then eventually I decided that I wanted to do a little bit more than just the comedy side. Well, I didn't know what it was. Remember kiddos, this is back in the day when Facebook was in its infancy, if at all existing actually. We were on forums, like the Ministry of Burlesque. Hands up who remembers that. And we had like forums. So I went to a comedy event, and this female dancer didn't show up, and they said to me, "Oh look, we need someone who can do a funny dance." And I was like, "Oh no, I can't do funny dances." So what I did was I did a take on girls, female tourist behaviour overseas that I'd seen in this TV show, but probably also based a little bit on Viz, but TV show Brits Go Mad Abroad or something. I think it was on like Channel 4 or something, and it was just the way that people were dancing, and it got a lot of applause. Now I was in the military, so when I eventually left, burlesque really took off for me. I was still doing the pin-up modelling, and I ended up going into it that way. Back then, you didn't have gigs like you do now. It was a lot more underground. There was a lot more how do I say it? It was a lot more people knew who you were, so you got booked. I will say I did find the pay was a lot better back then. There was a lot less shows. There was a lot less performers, but I think the audience was less divided because it was still new and novel. People really were like, it wasn't hard to get an audience into your show. I think the burlesque they were getting perhaps wasn't always amazing, but it was at the time quite innovative and to the front. Some burlesque was outstanding, and some was, just burlesque. But there was less of this sort of influx of, say, people. Not that that it has a time and place. People dancing to, say, Feeling Good, or people dancing to just generic tracks. And there was a term that was coined by somebody called cherry generic burlesque started to come in, where people may have watched one show and thought they knew what they were doing. And although I hated that whole poo-pooing of them, it was quite interesting to see how many people were perhaps not as I don't know, were less becoming less forgiving for people coming into the burlesque scene, and I felt like that was a bit harsh for them. The way in which they were sort of addressing. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I'm just replying to somebody here. People were less forgiving. Anyway, so that I actually got into burlesque when it was still older and there were less people involved. Sorry, scrap that. I got into burlesque about 12 years ago, 12 years ago, when people were less. The gigs were a little bit harder to come by. It was still quite niche. It was there wasn't Facebook so much to help us to find gigs. Everything we had to learn was from books, or perhaps someone would be kind enough to share some information with us, and it basically that's how it came about. So burlesque has dramatically changed. So now you've got Facebook, that pretty much everyone, you can almost have, if you like, an equivalent of a website now to find work, which is your fan pages. Instagram came around. There was more sharing of content, which meant you made better connections. There were more shows coming up because people wanted to see more. There's more people involved in burlesque, which has a plus and a negative. So more for me is quite, I guess, could be quite controversial. I think that while it's great that there's loads of people in burlesque, it has slightly saturated with the amount there, and sometimes the saturation isn't always amazing. There's like, so now when I did a cast for a show for a client, we had 5 slots for performers and I had 200 applications. And by any means, we're not McDonald's, we're not Marks Spencer's, and we've got hundreds. But if you just think that's 5 slots with 200 people, I've got to disappoint 195 performers, and it's shocking. Whereas when I say cast maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I would get maybe 50, and I'd have 5 slots, and it just goes to show how many people there are. And a lot of people I found aren't all necessarily suitable. So I would say I need a headline quality person, and I have people who are in their first year with their first act, with their first costume applying, and you will get that in every line of work. But now it's becoming quite prevalent that people just like performing for performing's sake, and that's great. But there is a change, I think, in how people apply, the change in how people regard themselves. I did watch a tutor channel quite recently about how people who are less competent technically believe they are better than they are, and then as they learn, it drops down. And I did think that was sometimes applicable to burlesque, because I know I certainly did that when I first started. I thought I knew everything, and I probably still think I do a little bit, which is because I'm a twat. And actually, as I've gone along, I've learned more and more. And what I do like about how burlesque has changed now is that we are tackling social issues. So from the cultural misappropriation issues to feminine rights to even things down to the abortion laws in the Republic of Ireland, all that is being tackled by burlesque performers. Things like my name, I have a right to decide what I'm called by. Legal documentation aside, I can decide to call myself whatever I want, and Facebook telling me I can't. Luckily for me, Facebook have agreed that I can call myself Candy Kisses because I have a court order that says against me using my real name too many places, cut off for a stalker. We'll come on to that. But so that has definitely changed. Please, if you are going to ask questions, you have to go onto a desktop or log in via a browser on your phone to join on. That there's like a chat thing just there, and you have to type it that way, okay? And then I will be sharing any links, anything on the side. So if you want to chat to me, that's where you have to go. And I can keep a track on some stuff on Facebook, but it's not really working out for me to be able to flip between the two, because then I become quite vague. So people always ask me about where I get my knowledge on burlesque from. Now, when I started burlesque, obviously it was a few years ago. It didn't have the social sort of dynamic that there was Facebook. There was obviously Burlesque Hall of Fame and that, but they everything was found very tentatively on the internet. So I ended up buying a lot of books. So I have a list of books here that I can recommend to people. I reckon every burlesquer should have this book in their possession, if nothing else, to support a fellow burlesquer, but also because it is full of valuable information, particularly those starting out, and it also gives you a little bit of a brief history. I mean, the author herself has said she wished she'd got more into the more into the history, but at the time she was limited, and it took a long time for her to get a publisher. So this is this book, which is the Burlesque Handbook by Jo Weldon, aka Jo Boobs, who is based in New York, and the girl is beautiful. Look at that! Look at that! Yay! I mean, she's wonderful. I recommend it. I mean, there's all sorts of things on here. How to adapt your act. Here we go. Where is it? Hair pieces. How to sort them out. And plus, you know, she's got one of my great loves, Imogen Kelly, there featured there. Do you see her? Imogen Kelly from Australia. It's a great book. This I got $12.99 from Forbidden Planet years ago, and actually I then went on to order a few more copies because I gave them away to my students of my student of the year and my student of the month, student of the year, when I was teaching burlesque regularly. So that's from Jo Weldon. That is a great book. You can buy these on Amazon, Google. I'll link it below later for you. The next one, you can get this in hardback or otherwise. Look, this is how often I refer to it to my students. You will always find this in here. Okay, so this is Pretty Things. It's by Liz Goldwyn, and it's all about burlesque performance. Get it up for you. I don't know if you can see all that. There's just loads of pictures and valuable information. As you can see, I get quite involved when I write, so I have to have post-it notes. And then the other books, I would say, are more visuals, really, because you can't know where you've gone. This is Bunny Yeager's book. This is Striptease Artists of the 1950s, and that's quite nice. Again, you can see post-it notes from me. And then we've got Queens of Burlesque, which is by Len Roth from the 1940s and 1950s, just photographs. And then, as you know, it's all these got post-it notes because I often reference these to my students. This one is The Bare Truth, Stars of Burlesque from the 40s and 50s. And this is by Len Roth. What I'll do is I'll link them all in the description below, so you don't have to worry about it. There are loads of these. Okay, just put them all back. So yeah, I have those. One of the things that I'm quite known for, that's really egotistical. One of the things I write a lot about is burlesque, and it's on my website, Candy Kisses. And I wrote an article about your burlesque teacher might not be teaching you burlesque. And I know that ruffled a lot of feathers, to the point where I actually had people sending me emails telling me I need to delete that account because it just wasn't right and it wasn't fair. But it's very true. I attend a lot of classes. I attend a class purely because sometimes it's nice to get a refresher. Sometimes it's nice to see what's new, also just keep me limber. And I managed to attend a local class here in the Northamptonshire area, not necessarily Northampton. And I went across, and this lady was telling me about how burlesque was and what it was about. And she told me it was all about feathers and vintage flair, and it was very pretty, it's very classical. But then she went on to talk about how she was a qualified burlesque teacher, and that she was qualified to teach burlesque, and that's where I came a little unstuck, because as of now in the UK, there is no registered legally burlesque teacher qualification like there is for dance and ballet, okay, which we have, but burlesque itself does not have one. Now, if you're a member of Equity and stuff, you're licensed to teach workshops and stuff, but you know, there are those that teach and those that shouldn't. But this one was categorically adamant that she was licensed. Now, here's where I've noticed there's been a couple of companies that have started up that say that they teach burlesque, and that they are qualified, and you are a qualified burlesque teacher, and that is fine. You are qualified technically by their standards within their company organization, okay, which is equivalent of saying, let me try and equate this to something else. It's like, I work at Starbucks. I don't. I work at Starbucks. I know how to make a Starbucks Frappuccino, okay? So I make a Starbucks Frappuccino. I leave Starbucks and I go off to Costa Coffee to work. And Costa retrain me, because although I'm a trained barista by Starbucks, Costa still want to train me to their standards. So while you are only a Starbucks, you're only a barista qualified within Starbucks. When you go to Costa, you're not a qualified barista. You need to be qualified within their standards. So it's the equivalent of taking skill sets from somebody else and trying to attain them somewhere else, but it doesn't parallel like that. So you couldn't go to a company and say, hi, I'm a qualified burlesque dancer. They'd be like, well, who registered you? What organization are you registered with? Who is the dance company that you're registered with? That kind of stuff. There isn't one at the moment. Now I am trying to look at getting one set up. I know, big news, right? Just because I think it would be a good idea, because I have had emails from people who are getting injured in these classes. So and also not happy with what they're being told, and there isn't a set standard of teaching, like in ballet there's a syllabus that you follow to a point, and same with all ballet. In burlesque there isn't. So it'd be quite nice to have that, have a sort of, if there was a formal qualification, that'd be brilliant. So we do get, and people like this woman asked me to delete this thing saying, oh no, all my students are saying that I'm not a qualified burlesque teacher. I said, well, you have set your own standards within your company of what makes a burlesque instructor in your company. That isn't transferable to another company, because one, you're not a registered teacher of dance for burlesque. Your company might be registered as a copyright thing, a company house, but there is no dance qualification that covers burlesque per se, as I know. And I even spoke actually about this at great length. They said there isn't one at the moment, so no one can say they are officially qualified burlesque teacher. So that was interesting. So I got that one, and that causes a lot of controversy. Yeah, like I shy away from that. Okay, so I've got some questions, which are great. So I've answered a few of them, I know. How do I get, I'm reading them. How do I get more gigs? Okay, first off, there are always gigs that are going to show advertised for freebies, because people will always, they know that there will always be someone who accepts a free gig. Okay, you can always apply for those, but if you're going to apply, I'm going to tell you how to best apply. Okay, so first of all, make sure you know the promoter's first name if you can, or a name they go by. So when you send your email or your message, it's nice to personalize it, because that is nice. It's nice. Also, send clear photos. Link all your videos if you've got any. If you haven't got videos, I would highly suggest doing your act somewhere where you can video, be it in your house or in your garden, and just say, look, I haven't yet brought it to the stage, but this is it. You don't have to share it publicly, just to that promoter. Invest in good imagery. I know I'm a photographer, I can do photography, and I know I'm a good photographer. There are loads of photographers around. Get good imagery, because a poster is what's going to sell their show, and they want someone that looks good on their poster too. Sorry. They want someone that's good on their poster. And if you haven't got any images, they're like grainy, low res, not well edited, they're not looking good, they're not going to want you on their poster. Okay. Also, make sure they know exactly what your act's about and how to contact you. An email, I always think personalizing or Facebook message. If someone says to you, don't DM me, do not send them a private message, find them an email. My throat is so sore. People will always be like that. My eyes are now watering. Look. People get funny about it. So if you want to apply, I would think try and get someone to film you on your mobile phone. Here's a tip. As you know, it's Facebook and YouTube, it's horizontal, and then Instagram is vertical. So portrait. So when you're filming and you're using it for Facebook, I highly recommend having your phone held like this. And then if you're filming, and just because it makes a viewer more comfortable watching it, it's really bizarre, it's psychological. And then if you're filming in YouTube, filming like this, and then if you're filming for Instagram, it's like that. People forget that. Because also when you film like that, you can move in. I would always recommend, if you're using on a phone, don't zoom in with the phone, try and get close to them, because even if they're small, but if you can't, don't worry. One video is better than no video. So that's good. Also, if you're going to apply for a show, be honest about whether you can do it. I've had people apply for my shows. I tell them it's in Northampton or it's in Manchester. I do some shows for clients in Leeds, private corporate gigs, and I say that you must drive. You must drive. And they'll say, oh no, I can get my mum to drop you off. No, because I can't risk your mum not being able to do it. I know it sounds really horrible, but no. Or you can't get to this venue by public transport. I need someone who drives, and there's a reason there are similar drives, because some of my clients, I need to give your car registration across for the security to come through. And so when you say I'll get a taxi, well, no, sorry, unless you know the taxi reg and you can get that for me today when I send off your paperwork, it's not going to happen. And I know it's really, but that's what my clients demand of me, and that's what I have to pass on to performers. So making sure you can actually get there. Another thing is, if someone says you need to be there for 7 and you can't get there till 7:15, don't bother applying for that show. It just, you know what, there's a reason a promoter wants you there at 7. And actually, you should be showing up before 7 just to be ready for whatever they want you for at 7. And it gets quite ball achy. Also, if you're looking for gigs, they are mainly predominantly on Facebook groups now. There isn't, and people and recommendations. Always check your spam folder on Facebook because you'll find some people's gigs in there. Or corporate clients tend to come through your website. So if you've got a website, I check your emails and your junk mail. But yeah, that's right. Yeah, that I hope that helps. Wasn't the best, but you know. So what else? What other question have I got? What other questions? Let's have a look. How do I stick my rhinestone? Everyone asks this. This is a joke. I know this question's a joke. Okay, so one of the big things that everyone is asked on Facebook groups is what glue do they use to stick their rhinestones on? It takes 10 seconds to look on the Facebook group to find it. Okay, so people advocate E6000. It is carcinogenic, I believe. So now there's a non-toxic one, or Gemtac or similar. Okay, I think I need to write the most common questions asked in Burlesque. In fact, that's what I'm going to do next month. I'm going to write the most common questions asked in Burlesque and answer them. How do I come up with my name? Honestly, good luck to you. There is a Burlesque register. The only thing I say is I used to be called Morning Glory. I wish I kept it now. And Candy Kisses is stuck and stayed. So unfortunately, I wish I'd kept Morning Glory as well. But there is a registry, so make sure you don't have similar. There is a Candy Kiss apparently somewhere in the UK, which I find ironically funny. Because I'm Candy Kisses, and hers is spelled the right way, but still Equity can't register her because she sounds too similar to mine, so I have kind of cornered that. But yeah, I was a bit shocked when someone came up with Candy Kiss. I was like, really? It's quite nice because I think there isn't many candies. There's a candy carnival I'm aware of, not many candies, especially not without my way anyway. But there aren't many candies, which is quite nice because a lot of people, I don't know why people stay away. There used to be a while there was an influx of kitties, which was quite cute because I really liked it. Like there's loads of kitties. I did one show where there's 4 kitties and 1 candy. That was quite cute. It was like the kitty cat show. I was like, oh yeah, it was a kitty cat show. I was like the only one who wasn't. Yeah, Burlesque names, there are a few and far between. I like the ones. My favourite Burlesque name is Titsalina Bum Squash. I just think that's superb. It always makes me chuckle. Yeah, she's an amazing performer as well. She's in one act with a hand that I thought was real and it wasn't. You've got to watch her. She's amazing. Sorry, I'm laughing now. She is amazing. There are some good. I like the double entendre names, the play on names. I always think they're really good. But check that no one's got a similar name to you. That's always a good one. But yeah, coming up with your name, good luck. There are some funny little apps. But do you know what? 2 things you like and then just keep going until they kind of something matches. I was given my name on a forum actually because I couldn't think of a name for myself, and between a lady whose username was Broomstick Pilot, and she called me Broomstick Pilot, and there was somebody else on there who I can't remember. Broomstick Pilot means witch, and they came with Candy Kisses, and I loved it. I stuck with it, and it's brought me good luck so far. So yeah. Have you done where is Burlesque taking you? Okay, where is Burlesque taking me? Okay, so I did the first ever Australian Burlesque Festival, I think in 2010. I went to Australia and performed there. Went on the tour with them. That was amazing. I've done a music video for the band Hurt, who was that was pretty surreal. That actually got banned. You can find it on YouTube, but you have to look quite hard to find it. I'll link it. I've done a couple of other music videos. I have songs written about me. That was so surreal. I featured in a few music videos with so I'm in the Terrasols music video. I'm also their Go-Go Girl. And what else? I've done movies. I'm actually in a one. I've done loads. It's weird. Burlesque didn't just happen for me. I think it's now when you look, there's a lot more of us in and we're getting more into places, and that's what's brilliant. But you'd be surprised at how many people diversify. I think my photography came from Burlesque because I was shooting a lot of behind the scenes stuff and people were asking me to do their promo and I was doing it for nothing. Then someone said, oh, can we buy it? And I was like, yeah. So then that's pretty much how it happens. I was already shooting portraits, but yeah, it's quite good fun. What else has Burlesque done for me? I've been to Paris. I got invited to Paris twice to perform. I've done that. I keep getting invited to go to America, and every time I get to go, I've not always been able to go as often as I should have really. I've been to Jersey to perform Burlesque. That was so bizarre because when we arrived, everyone knew who we were because we just didn't fit. I've done some really surreal ones. I did one on a cruise ship once in the Mediterranean Sea. It was just me. I got flown in helicopter. It was amazing. It was a bit James Bond-y. I've done for royalty, celebrity. Oh, I did for the British Science Council. That was so surreal. Yeah, the British Science Council had me as a burlesque performer dressed as a gorilla suit. What else have I done? I've done Comic Cons where I've been like a guest speaker, I think you could say, or an entertainer. That was quite good. That came from the film more than anything. So yeah, Burlesque has taken me everywhere. Australia was amazing to go to. What else? I think I'm gonna keep this to half an hour because it does get quite tedious quite quickly. So what I will say is that Burlesque has dramatically changed over the years. It has started to have a dip, I think, as audiences have become more attuned to it being out there. Once you're fed a type of style for so long, I think they become almost immune to it. And now Burlesque is really going to have a resurgence in itself, almost die down to come back up, a bit like it's always done. It's always done the resurgence to come back up. And I think it needs to sort of slowly reinvent itself. People like Lola Brow, who's freaking amazing, Vicky Butterfly, Coco Electric, Raquel Reed, all those people are, Mariachi, all those people are different styles, different genres, and they are pushing it. And I think Burlesque will have a sort of a slow, quiet time and then resurge. I think particularly it's now taking off quite a lot more in America, more, and that becomes across the perception because of social media. It looks a lot busier out there. Obviously, we've got the Burlesque Hall of Fame out there, but Europe is slowly coming around to more burlesque. It's just, I think the style is very different. It's quite a unique style. Like American burlesque, from what I can see, is incredibly glam and amazing. There are the innovative side, that's not disputing those. And I like the fact now that we're sort of melding together and becoming up this like super group of burlesque. And I hope that it does sort of come back as a resurgence and there are more people involved and there are more things happening. Yeah, I hope that works. I hope burlesque doesn't disappear entirely, but I would like to see it go a bit more underground and perhaps better pay. I mean, people like Red Sarah, who here in London, here in the UK in London, is driving with equity to get fairer pay, better treatment. It's horrible as it sounds. Like with any walk of life and work, so any line of work, there are issues, and one of them is payment, harassment, people not being paid fairly. How many times do you see someone wanting a headliner and it's ceremony, and you're like, well, if you can't pay your headliner, why are there tickets on the door? Where's that money going? And then you realize that unfortunately some shows do have to die and disappear in order for good shows to stay. And that is horrible to say, but like with anything, some shows do disappear so that bigger shows can stay or different shows can stay. And we have lost some great shows. Because the audience aren't coming in. I mean, that itself is tragic, truly tragic. We are losing, and we're losing performers because they can't sustain an income anymore because the wage isn't there. So I hope it dies a little bit and we get a resurgence and it comes back stronger than ever. I just think there are a lot of shows. Like before, say for example Northampton, I can tell you 4 shows that sporadically and regularly happen in Northampton. Northampton's quite a small town, and if you think as a performer, as an audience member, there are 4 shows for you to choose from, that means your audience is already cut down to a quarter. It's not like London where there's masses of population. There's a reason why so few shows sell out, because there's not one show in one town anymore. There's another show that might be cheaper, and the local audiences aren't very aware of different types of burlesque and standards, so they'll go to various different shows and they'll go, I don't like that one, it wasn't as fun. But they won't then go to another one where it's higher end, because they'll be like, oh no, because I didn't like that one. Or they'll go to a high-end show and not be impressed and not want to go to the smaller show that's a bit more niche, you know. And unfortunately, some shows do have to go in order for the creme de la creme to stay. I mean, that's an unpopular, perhaps, opinion, and it is just an opinion. Do I have to do a disclaimer? It's my opinion, but I just think sometimes it's got to change. And that is actually answering one of the other questions. Do you think burlesque will die? No, I don't. I just think it will change. But I'm going to go because I've done this for 30 minutes and it's a Sunday. And thank you, everyone. I'll do a better one soon in full-on fancy costume because, you know, it's Sunday. I didn't want to get up at 11 a.m. and like get full dressed up. Instead, I just put a hat on because I felt it was that snazzy.